There you go. I think it's important to do a business plan every year because your circumstance changes, the business changes, the market changes, and you have to adjust where you are in life and what your expectations are. Because a business plan isn't just a business plan, it's a personal plan as well. Business, if you only think about business, you're really, half of your life, your personal life, the other things that you do, that all has to be part of a goal setting. And basically, this is what it is. So, what I talk about, this is the preface for what you're actually going to sit down and do in the webinar. And that's like the math part. It's all very easy. Trust me, you're a smart girl. It'll happen in no time whatsoever. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about the psychological portion of it, the actual getting ready for it. Where do you start? How much are you worth? Like, what is an hour of your time worth? And that's how I need you to start thinking. Like, if somebody said to you, I'm going to pay you an hour, and you're not a hooker, you know what I mean? You're like, you're a business. I'm going to pay you. What's an hour of your time worth? And that's different than maybe what I would say an hour of my time is worth professionally. Why? Because maybe I've been doing this a little bit longer, a little bit more experienced, whatever. I can answer the question without having to fact check, whatever the reason is. You have to know in your mind, what am I worth today? And that's why you do a business plan every year, because that changes. You're worth more and more the longer you're in the business and the more experience you have. Um, One of the things that I also tell everybody who sits down to do any kind of planning is to take out of your head any preconceived notion that you may have about your ability right now to be successful. I've taught extremely experienced agents who will say, yeah, no, I really can't go after the 4 or 5, $10 million houses. I've never sold one. And so their plan doesn't even begin to expand to think about that. Like, they don't even think that that's a possibility. So they plan small. And what I tell people is, you can't take all those misconceptions and all of those ideologies that you think you belong in out of the way. When you're goal setting and you're planning, the world is your oyster. You can think as outside the box as you want. And if you have trouble doing that, I tell people to do a vision board. And I've actually led vision board classes just because, and people get really like, I'm not creative. I don't know what that is. That sounds airy fairy. Really, a vision board is just looking at two-dimensional photography, some kind of picture from a magazine or something on the internet that speaks to you, and cutting it out and putting it down on paper and not even realizing why you're doing it, just doing it because it speaks to you. So I've had people do vision boards where they have like families around a fireplace, where they have a beautiful house, where they have jet planes, where they have jewelry, where they have, I don't know, a couple, and their life is being laid out to what's reflective in their mind and their heart. And that helps you to realize, I have like a lot of things I want out of this life. And how do I get there? And that's how you start goal setting, by setting a vision of what it is you want. You're not just in this business because you like houses. That's not the reason you're here, or because you like to help people. You actually want something in this life, and you know that this business can potentially take you there. So find out what you want. Vision boards help you do that. And then kind of get the goals even written down. This is what I want. And don't even say for next year, this is what I want. Put it on the vision board, and this is how you start, without preconceived notion of, well, you've never sold a $10 million house. Why would you put that down as something that you think you want? So get that out of your mind. So after all that analyzation and the vision board, then you should do, what I call value proposition. Ask yourself, what is my market? Define myself and the impact I can make in my market. So, and I'm not talking about Mar Vista or Santa Monica or whatever. I mean the general marketplace here. What is this market, and what can I get from it? And the way, if you don't know, look around at other agents who are extremely successful in a short period of time. How did they get there? What are they doing that made them impactful? And how can I be impactful in this marketplace? Kind of a lot of self-reflection. And again, when you take a business planning course, they don't necessarily talk to you in this aspect. They talk to you in how many transactions you're going to do, how much money you're going to make, which is important. But I think you need to come with a clear set of expectations and goals for yourself. You can interrupt me at any time. I know that we're recording this, but don't hesitate to be normal and and interrupt.
Sounds good. Okay.
Like your child screaming in the courtyard. So one of the other aspects of a business plan is incorporating your personal goals. Okay, I'm gonna have to shut the door. Can you hear the kid screaming his guts out?
It's not super bad, honestly. I've been like on and off muting myself because I have construction going on at my apartment too, so
Okay, all
it's no
right.
worries at all.
He actually stopped, so thankfully it's not going to keep going. But anyway, so we want to incorporate, so like, okay, this year 2024, and let me just talk briefly about what I know 2024 is going to bring. I know this pretty much. I can tell this is going to happen. Interest rates are like 8% now, right? Everybody's afraid because they don't know what's going to happen. Sellers are not really out there too much because, well, buyers aren't really out there. So why am I going to be putting my property out there and, having scraps? I'm going to wait, we'll see what the market does. See what the market does. The market will be difficult next year. And I'll tell you why, because the interest rates are going to come down. They're going to come down by the end of the year close to 5%. What happens when interest rates go down? If you're a buyer and you want to buy, and at 8%, it's really hard for you right now. At 5%, you're going to be able to afford something. It's going to put you in a different position. So buyers are going to come out of the woodwork. Oh my God, 5%.
So it's going to be a buyer's market.
It's going to be a buyer. Buyers are going to be out there like just looking at property. So as soon as that happens, sellers are going to get greedy. They're going to come out and say, my house is, let's just use a number, $1 million. Well, buyers are going crazy. They're just like it was a few years back. I'm going to sell for $1.25 million. I want $1.4 million. You know how buyers or sellers are. So we're going to go back to that over asking, multiple bids, even though we really never left that. We still have multiple bids here in our market. But so next year it's going to be challenging, but there's always opportunity and challenge. Always, 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 always. With the economy the way it is now, divorces are up like crazy. These people have to do something with all their property. So there's opportunity. There's always opportunity. So I would say when you're thinking about yourself next year, say, wow, buyers are really going to be coming back. How am I going to be the first one to grab their attention? What am I going to do? Am I going to go on social media and start talking to buyers about, listen, let's get ready because the market's going to be hot. You're going to be able to afford it. It's 3% difference happening next year. Let's start looking. Like, what are you going to do to prepare yourself for that? If that's, excuse me, if that's your market. Anyway, I don't even know how I got off on that tangent. I'm sorry, but I was still
No
talking.
worries.
That's all right. I'll go off a million times, I'm sure. And I still want to bring in not only the goals for the production for the business portion, but the personal goals. So there are tons of books out there. If you're having issues with, and I always say, you don't know what you need until you look back at the past year. Like, what was I lacking this year, professionally and personally, that I can work on for next year? Like, am I having issues with time management, like working, enough to have enough time to actually make money in this business? Am I easily distracted? Am I not going on vacation enough? Do I need to incorporate that fun thing back in my life? Because I seem to not be having fun and I'm not making money with business? What am I doing? You have to kind of think personally what you've done and business wise what you've done. No transactions this year or one transaction this year. My goal next year is to have one a quarter. This year, I worked 3 days a week because I have another job. Next year, I'm going to work 4 mornings a week or 5 mornings a week and just try shifting it up. But you have to plan it, because once you plan it, then you can go back and say, oh, I didn't do that. I need to do that. Or I did that. It didn't work. Let's try this. So I'm a big proponent on writing it down and planning it. And that's what that webinar on the 21st is actually going to do. They're actually going to just sit down and say, you know, A, B, C, D, you need to have X transactions in order to make this kind of money after you pay taxes. But don't start there. Everybody starts there. What's your goal for 2024? I want to make $500,000. Well, it's great. So what did you make this year? Well, this year I only made 50. Oh, okay, so that's a big jump. What are we doing different next year in order to get to $500,000? And how many transactions more would that mean? And where did you get your transactions from this year? Okay, so if that worked, then how are we going to put that on steroids for next year so it'll bring you to that level, right? Everything is planned out. None of it is just haphazard and get up in the morning and I'm gonna go look at houses. That's what it looks like on the outside. That's not what it is in reality. Am I making sense to you so far?
Sorry. Yes, I muted myself again, but
That's
yes,
okay.
absolutely.
In preparation for all of this, I would recommend that you do some reading in order to kind of know what you need to do in order to be positive and successful, like daily affirmations. Do I need to kind of start working on maybe meditation, buy some books or listen to some, Insight Timer on my app and on my phone? Do I need to exercise more? Take a walk every day. It doesn't have to be like formally go to the gym. We live in the most beautiful place on the planet. We can walk on the beach for 10 minutes and it does mind, body, soul, health, the whole thing. So we're really, really fortunate. We're not in Minnesota where it's freezing and cold and snowing. What are you doing? You have to go to the gym. No, we are so lucky. But that causes a habit, and that habitual, everyday positive affirmation, physical, movement, appreciation and gratitude, it helps you to stay motivated. Once you're motivated, you stay sharp. Mentally, you are not in a fog. And we've all been in this fog. I'm still in this fog with the ear issue that I have that's still kind of clogged up from my flight. But when you're in a fog and you're like, okay, so do I need vitamins? Do I need supplements? Do I need, what's going on? And you have to stay, because no matter how good you are, no matter how good I am, there's somebody better. And if you're not at the top of your game, you're going to lose the opportunities when they come to you. And you have to be prepared for them. So keeping yourself sharp, staying motivated, having habits. And there are some great books on habits. There's like Miracle Morning, which I've read, and it's just talking about how he gets up every morning and does these rituals, and it's changed his life. There's all kinds of things like that, which I would recommend. Put it on your Christmas list. Have somebody buy you something cool like that can help you in your business. And be hungry for new things. Just that sense of, oh my God, I can't, what was that? Like you just said, oh, I heard about the tax, and that was great. You were hungry for something that makes you smarter in your business. And you asked me, or you looked it up, or whatever. That sense of childlike wonder keeps you on the top of your game. People in real estate who succeed are not average. Not here, maybe in Kentucky. I don't know anything about Kentucky, but LA, California, nobody's average, because they're already a 10 and a 10 plus. In order for you to be great, you have to be that much better. So that's the mindset that I need you to have, so that when you step into, okay, I want to make $500,000, and I guess with taxes, probably have to make 700,000 in order to pay the government 200,000. but I only want to work 4 days a week because damn, I want to enjoy my life. I want to surf in the morning. I want to do this. I want to do that. So 4 days, I think I can really kill it. I can really do that. So now, how many transactions do I have to do in order to do that? I don't know, average commission, average house, let's just say 1 million. Let's just be really, $25,000, right? Average commission. Yeah, but you have to pay your broker something. Oh shit. All right. So $25,000 less 30%. Okay. So now you've got that down. So how many transactions do you need in a year to make that? I don't know, maybe 28. 28. That's almost 2.5 a month. How am I going to do that? How am I going to get in front of 20, how many people that I need to get in front of to close 2.5 a month? And I'm just off the top of my head. Yours will be for you. You'll think about it. If you have to talk to 1,000 people in order to get one meeting, maybe you have to talk to 500 people. I don't know how many people you need to talk to. I don't know how good you are, right? That's what you got to say to yourself. But if I talk to 1,000 people, I got one meeting, I may not close them. How am I going to get in front of 1,000 people? Then you start your daily activity. All right. I have to do this every day so that I get those numbers in front of people so that when I have one, may not close the first one, may not close the second one, maybe by the third, because my close ratio is not 100%. Now, I've not been doing this a million years. I'm not going to close everybody. So how many people do you actually have to talk to in order to close 2 to 3 transactions a month? And that might be really, high in the way of a goal. But even if you try 1 a quarter so that you closed 4 a year, that's $100,000 on an average $1 million property in commission, right? I think most people would not be terribly disappointed with that, their first few years in the business, but certainly nothing to, say, hey, I'm going to do this forever. Like I said, we plan every year because things change and what we want changes. Maybe next year you want to buy a house. That's why you're doing 500,000. Maybe, who knows, maybe an investment property in Sacramento. Go back and forth and, right, nothing wrong with that.
My parents would love that. They'd be coming home way more often and
You know
all
what?
that.
You should think about it. Like if you can buy something somewhere where it's cheaper and
Yeah.
have an investment, eventually you
Yeah.
can sell that and do whatever the heck you want as you're making money. So there's nothing wrong with
Totally.
that.
No, yeah, that's a great idea. Mm-hmm.
And she'll be your mom and your dad will be happy, but you don't have to move back there. Of course, I don't want that.
No. I'm not moving back there anytime soon. No.
But it's not a bad idea for a start, an investment, a beginning, because my thought, and I've done this, like I said, for a long time, and I've gotten two boys, two sons that have gone through college with no debt. And the way I did this was I had several streams of income. My business was one of them, always. That was a big one. And then I invested in real estate in like 4 or 5 different buildings that kept bringing money in to pay for the buildings. But I held on to them for 15 years. When they went to college, I sold one and paid their tuition. And the other one went to college, I sold one, paid their tuition. You know, it's just this passive income that happens through investment. So I'm all for investing anywhere. I know it's hard to invest here. Hopefully we all can. Hopefully 2024, that'll be one of our goals, that the company, everybody can get together and invest in a property as a group, because I'm fine with that. I love crowdsourcing. I think that's a great way to get people, excited and make a little money. But
Yeah.
whatever your goal is, you got to write it down because you forget it. We're human. We just don't think about it all the time. But once it's written down, somehow it becomes real. It's on a different level of reality. One of the things you'll want to do before this session on the 21st is you calculate your expenses. That's what helps you to get to that, $500,000 a year or $100,000. And everything that you spend money on, including personal and business. So your MLS dues, telephone, internet. I need a new laptop because my laptop sucks. So this year I've got to put that money back into the business for that. Entertainment, car expenses, blah, blah, blah. You have to write all that down. You have to know in a given month how much I need to make. That helps you to come to that goal of 100,000, 500,000, whatever it is, so that you can work backwards. So do that ahead of time, because I think that'll just, you'll have numbers that you'll actually have that make sense, as opposed to picking something, out of a hat like I just did a minute ago with those numbers that I gave you. I think that's, basically what I wanted to talk about is the preparation for that workshop, which is on the 21st. The other thing I would tell you is to not get discouraged when you do those numbers and you go, this year how am I going to do 4 next year? Don't, this year is done. It's November, 2023 is over. Between now and the end of the year, the best you're going to do, God bless you, I'd love for you to have a transaction, but the best you're going to do is be prepared for 2024 and hit the ground running. Because in December, this place, LA, goes to sleep. Every agent goes away, every buyer, seller goes away. Don't go away. I mean, I know you're going away, but don't go away mentally. When you come back, be prepared and plan for next year and say, look, if I have to be in front of 100 people or 500 people or whatever it is in order to close one transaction, every day I have to spend my time making that a priority, even if it's just an hour in the morning. What can I do? And then I'm going to go back to my, rant about lead generation. That's what we do every day. And it's not a joke. I spend money on lead generation and it's not good. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always good. It's a numbers game, and you just can't ever take your eye off of it. Because one of the most important ways to get those leads is through past customers. And in fact, I'm blessed that I've been doing this a long time. I got one this week, and I got one last week from the East Coast. So, that team will be doing well. And then I got one for the property management business through my property management landlord who referred somebody. That's a great way to make money. That's one of those avenues of lead generation. That's very long game, very long game. It just doesn't happen right away. But as long as you start closing 1 or 2, if we can do 4, 1 a quarter, you will have that come before you know it. Within the next year or 2, you'll get that referral base, because we do things right. You'll follow up with them and all that stuff, and be their best friend.